Companies doing business across the border are being reassured that the $2.7 billion in trade that crosses through our border every day will not be affected by its closure.
That it is critical for us to preserve supply chains between our two countries. These supply chains ensure that food, fuel, and life-saving medicines reach people on both sides of the border.
Joining me now is Ryan Greer. He is the Senior Director of Transportation Policy at the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Good to talk to you this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, basics first. How is Canada's supply chain going to be affected by all of this?
Well, it's going to be very affected. I mean, it's been affected for months now, starting with the loss of inputs from Chinese factories a couple of months ago. But obviously, things have intensified in the last 2 weeks with the thickening of international borders that has disrupted transportation. But we at the Canadian Chamber have been working very closely with the federal government to try to mitigate the impacts of the virus on supply chains and try to keep our economy moving.
Okay, so let's talk about, we've covered on our show the panic buying that's happening. The toilet paper obviously is something that we've been talking about. What effect is panic buying having on supply?
It's having some impact, but grocers and other sellers are doing a good job restocking their shelves. I think it's important to stress to Canadians that food supply chains are strong. There is absolutely no need to be hoarding or panic buying food, and that Canadians should be considerate of their neighbors and others in their community when they're doing their grocery shopping.
Let's broaden the scope a little bit. When we're talking about the long term, could we see a shortage in supply? What do you think?
Right now, we've got no indications. Longer term, there might be certain disruptions and certain products that we lose. But for the most part, we think that we'll be in good shape in the long term, and we've got no major problems. And again, we would encourage Canadians to be responsible and respectful when they're shopping.
Let's talk about truck drivers. They're still being allowed to pass, but what's being done to protect them?
Yeah, all transportation providers are putting in strict protocols to ensure that when they're crossing the border that they're not transmitting or catching the virus. It's really important that those providers, not just trucking, but shipping and rail as well, are not caught up in these 14-day quarantines so they continue to move goods. And we should all be very, very thankful for the work that they're doing during a difficult time to keep the Canadian economy moving.
Hey, Ryan Greer, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.